Hi, welcome to more yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you are all doing well. Based on things that have happened in the world, I am feeling much better today than I have been in previous years, I guess. Um, and that's the wonderful thing about yoga is that we can use it to help relax. We can use it to feel energized so that whatever is happening in the world, whether it be big global affairs or small problems at home, we can use that energy that we create to help once we're off the mat. Let's do a little bit of warrior one, a little bit of hamstring, a little bit of core stuff today, and then that'll be enough. We'll probably end up finishing. We're going to be working pyramid pose today, so if you have blocks or books or tins or just something that you can bring the floor up to you, it can be quite a bit easier. If you don't worry, I'll give you variations. But let's start lying down. So once you're down on your back, you might choose to wiggle it out a little bit or take a windshield wiper of the knees. You might have the legs straight. You might choose to have the knees bent. For me, I'm going to take my feet mat width apart, allow the knees to hang in toward each other. That feels really good on my sacrum today and my pelvis. Arms can be wherever feels good for you. And for a few breaths, inhale through your nose. And exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. Continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Notice how your breath is flowing. If you notice any sticky or choppy spots along the way, you might gently try to lengthen through those parts to smooth your breath out a little bit more. Or maybe your breath feels really open and spacious, in which case acknowledge that for whatever it's worth. And maybe take a little extra wrap of the shoulder blades onto your back so the heart will lift up a little bit more of the chest. Just getting a little bit more space now through the front body. And then start to bring a little bit of movement back to your body. Oh, you could take a big yawning stretch or a little wiggle, whatever you need to do. When you're ready, join me in hugging your knees in toward your chest and take a little rock from side to side. You could draw circles with your femurs and the hip sockets here, massaging out the base of the spine and the pelvis. You might take the legs in opposite directions from each other, kind of like egg beaters. And if you're doing circle, just make sure that you go the opposite direction as well. And then bring your left foot to the floor. Keep the knee bent to start with, and then interlace the fingers over top of the right shin. Start to draw that knee toward you a little bit more. So deepening the compression on the front of the hip on that right side. Some of you might stay here. Some of you might choose to extend the left leg along the floor. Keep it really active though. So heel reaching away, toes peel back. Matters less what the right leg is doing, aside from getting that little bit of extra compression on the front of the hip joint. Getting a little bit of a release, possibly through the pelvis, tension for the lower back. Last couple breaths, tension out of the necks and shoulders. If you would like to, gently curl your nose toward your knee. And then release back to center. Okay, so keep holding on to that right leg. I know I said release. And then take your left hand to the outside of the right knee. Right arm can go out to the side, or you might even take your right thumb and hook it into the hip crease of that right hip as a reminder to keep pulling that right hip down and toward the top edge of the mat. And then draw your knee across to the left side. So naturally that right hip is going to lift up. Can you again think of wrapping it back to the floor as much as you're drawing the right knee toward the left shoulder? So you're getting hopefully some interesting sensation or tension along the outer right thigh in the IT band, or at least the muscles that attach to the IT band. Last couple breaths here. And then slowly come back to center. Switch the grip, so bring the right hands to the knee, left arm out to the side, and take your knee out to the right. You might mobilize it a little bit here, doing some circles. And then start to take that right knee toward your right shoulder a little bit more, the back right corner of your mat, or even indeed the room. Some of you might stay here. Some of you might choose to kick the foot to the sky for a variation of half happy baby. You grab the back, the thigh, or maybe somewhere along the leg, the ankle, the foot, the toes. Now, half happy baby, particularly with this left leg extended, can be quite intense. If it feels like maybe it's too much, you can always bend the left knee or let the left knee hang out to the side. So whatever you need for your body today. Last couple breaths here. And then release, shake it all out. And then we will switch sides. So bring the right foot to the floor, knee bent, and hug the left shin toward you. Right? Finding that little lift of the heart, even here. And then start to deepen the compression on the front of that hip. Right? Without feeling pain. But it's that compression that starts to trigger the joints into releasing the synovial fluid. So you get a little bit more lubrication here. Maybe you stay here, maybe you extend the right leg along the mat, really reaching actively through the heel of that right leg. Last couple breaths, if you wish. Think of curling your nose toward your knee without gripping the tension through your neck and shoulders. And then if your head is lifted, bring it back to the mat. Bring your right hand to the outside edge of that left knee or thigh, and then maybe left thumb into the hip crease and start to draw the thigh across the center line of the body. So we're not going into that full twist. We're just trying to isolate the sensation on the outer left thigh. So as much as that right knee is coming to the right shoulder, I think of rooting the back of the left hip down into the top edge of the mat. Last couple breaths here. Naturally, the hip will lift a little bit, right? Like you can't root it down, but that's the idea. You want that tension. And then as you inhale, bring your knee back to center. Bring the left hand to the knee now, so switching the grip. And then take your knee out to the left. You could draw a couple circles here, and just releasing any tension that may have built up. Right leg could stay straight or bend, or even if the knee is bent, the knee could hang out to the side. And then last option, kick the left foot to the sky for half happy baby. Any grab of the leg, the foot, the thigh that works for you, whether that right leg is straight or bent or winging out to the side. Last couple breaths. And then inhale. Woo, come back to center, shake it all out. Some of you might join me in rocking and rolling up and down your spine here, shoulder blades to sit bones. You can roll to one side and eventually make your way to hands and knees. So setting up with knees underneath hips, your toes can be tucked or untucked, hands nice and wide. So outer shoulder width apart or wider, little draw of belly button to spine. And then as you inhale, lift the tailbone to the sky, hollow through the lower back, broaden through the collarbones. And then exhale round, tuck the tailbone under, really press the floor away. Inhale into cow, exhale round into cat. So a few more of these cat and cow undulations on your own time, on your own breath. And as always, if there's any other natural movement that would feel really good to take here, then go ahead and take it. Right? Move however you need to move. And then come back to center. Little draw of belly button to spine. Make sure your hands are still wide. They haven't migrated toward each other. And then keeping the elbows straight, allow the chest to dip through the shoulders. So now the shoulder blades are retracting. And then from here, press the hands into the earth to find protraction of the spine. Wrap the shoulder blades away from each other. And then dip. And then press. So a few more of these on your own time, on your own breath. You might have just seen my daughter come to the door. Such are the joys, I'm sure you notice, of practicing yoga at home. And then tuck your toes, exhale. The hips up and back, downward facing dog. Pedal the heels toward the floor if you'd like to, or wag your tail from side to side. And then bend your knees, walk your hands back to your feet at the back edge of your mat into standing forward fold. Hands could be heavy, you could rest your elbows on your knees or thighs, or you might clasp opposite elbows with hands for more traction along your spine. Knees bent, you could rest your belly on the upper thighs. And if your arms are crossed, take the opposite crossing. And then release your hands if they're bound, and then walk back to downward facing dog. Hug the upper arm bones toward each other. Bend your knees, look forward. This time on your exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat into standing forward fold here. Fingertips to shins, inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. A couple more, just like that. You can sigh or flutter your lips. And then belly button to spine, slowly start to curl up to standing. One vertebra at a time, slow as you need to go, till eventually you come all the way up. Little loop of the shoulders, up, back, and down. A little release or shake out, and then come to feet hip width apart. Sometimes we practice the feet touching, but today we're doing hip width apart, so it's all good. Belly button to spine. On your inhale, sit your hips down and back. Into chair pose, tuck the tailbone slightly till you feel the belly button engaged toward the spine. Open through the chest, through the heart. Bring your arms to cactus. Couple breaths here. Notice what your knees are doing. We have a tendency to just let them cave in because it's easier. But we want to work the glutes a little bit more. So think of sending the knees out toward the baby toe edges of the feet. It almost feels like there's a sheet of paper underneath your feet and you're trying to tear them, or tear the piece of paper with the balls of the feet. Last couple breaths here. And then inhale all the way up to standing. Shake it out a little bit. And then sweep your arms up to the sky. Flip the palms skyward. Grab hold of the right wrist with the left hand. Inhale, lift a little bit taller. As you exhale, send your hips to the right, reach over to the left. So some people practice this with weight firmly on both feet and kind of really pulling over. For me, it feels better if I send my weight all the way over to the right foot so that the stretch is it just feels more accessible for me that way. So go where you need to go. Keep spiraling the upper right ribs open to the sky. And then come back to both feet. Bend the knees, tuck your tailbone under or forward, and then pull over to the top left corner of the mat a little bit more. So you're getting quite a bit of rounding through the spine. And then inhale all the way back up. Shake it out, get the blood flow back into your arms. And then straighten your arms up to the sky. This time grab hold of the left wrist with the right hand. Lift tall. Exhale over to the right, send the hips to the left. So again, you might stay here with weight equally distributed on the feet, or maybe you join me in really sending the weight over to the left foot. Keep spiraling the upper right ribs. No, left ribs open to the sky. And then come back to center. Bend the knees, tuck the tailbone under, round through the spine. And inhale all the way back up. Shake it out. Release the arms. And then come back to the top edge of your mat if you have moved like I did. And then inhale, sweep up to the sky. Exhale, dive or fold down to the earth. Forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. On your inhale, step your right leg back and then pause here. Spin your heel to the floor. So we're going to be setting up for warrior one. Now notice as I do this, my left butt or hip really likes to stick out to the left. So really draw the right hip forward, draw the left hip back. Okay, sink into that front knee. Supercharge the back leg towards straight. Belly bend to spine. Come up onto fingertips, so it's like a runner stretch almost. And then you might inhale the left arm forward and up, and then the right, and then drive through the front heel to come all the way up into warrior one. So the idea is that you set the foundation before you come up. If you need to adjust the width or the angle of that back heel, then go where you need to go. If the arms are raised, chill out on the shrug muscles, but keep working that back leg towards straight. You can stay here or inhale, lift through your heart. Exhale, sweep the torso forward, arms come behind you. Drive through the front heel, inhale all the way back up, and exhale, fly. So a few more of these on your own time, on your own breath. They could be super steady and controlled. They could be full of wild abandon. Last breath. And then gently shake out the front leg a little bit. Woo, the hips. Come back into that front knee. Bring your hands to cactus, or your arms to cactus rather. Spin your palms to the side and start to press them into imaginary walls on either side of you. And then start to wrap the elbows, the palms back behind you. So there's a hard squeeze on the shoulder blades. And then maybe the shoulder blades start to create a little platform that lifts the heart up. So if you have a back bend, let it start at the base of your heart rather than in the low back. Keep breathing. And then inhale, straighten through your front leg. Exhale, swan dive all the way forward, working towards both legs straight in pyramid. So this is where you might want to bring blocks underneath your hands. And to make it even more accessible, I'd suggest taking or stepping the back foot up or wider from where it is. And that will also help you find more length through the legs. Really wrap the back hip forward, draw the front hip back. Make sure there's buoyancy on those joints so you're not locking them out or hyperextending. Some of you might bow forward, folding into this space. Some of you might choose to hover the hands, whatever you need to do. Last couple breaths here. And then gently step to the top edge of your mat. A little wiggle or sway. And then fingertips to shins. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. Release. Shake it out a little bit. And then we'll do all that on the opposite side. So, inhale the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, and on your inhale, step your left leg back for warrior one. You might need to heel and toe the front foot out a little bit wider. I like to keep my feet hip width apart rather than being on this sort of tightrope of heel to heel alignment. I like to be on train tracks. And then really wrap that left hip forward. Draw the right hip back. Belly button to spine. Supercharge that back leg towards straight. Come up onto fingertips. And then inhale, reach the right arm forward and up. And then the left. And then drive through the front heel. Whoo, glutes. To come into warrior one. Now, if you need to change up your position a little bit or adjust, do what you need to do. No big deal, right? But then start to sink into that front knee. Really work the back leg towards straight. As soon as we start to move, this back leg will be your anchor for your stability. Inhale the arms high. Again, you can pause here doing the stoic yogi thing, or as you inhale, lift a little bit higher. Exhale, sweep the torso forward, arms behind you. Inhale, back up. And exhale, fly. The whole time, keep wrapping the left hip forward, right hip back. Driving through the front heel to lift up. The next time that you come up, pause there. And then shake out if you need to release the tension on that front side. Come back into warrior one. Bring your arms into cactus. Spin the palms sideways or to the side. Press into those imaginary walls so you're really firing up medial deltoid. And then wrap the elbows, the palms back behind you. Hard squeeze on the shoulder blades. And then inhale, straighten through the front leg. Exhale, swan dive forward. Again, working toward both legs straight in pyramid. So you might adjust the back foot up or wider from where it is. Hands might come to blocks. If you don't have blocks, I forgot to mention, you can rest them on the front thigh, so long as you're not jamming the leg open. Really wrap the back hip forward, front hip back. Maybe you bow into it. Maybe you're hovering the hands off the earth into more of a strength variation. Last couple breaths here, buoyancy in the knees. And then bend into the front knee. Step forward, little wiggle or shake, standing forward, fold. For 3 breaths, inhale, lift up part way. Exhale, fold. 2 more. And then bend your knees enough that the palms can come flat, and then step back to high plank, either from the toes or from the knees. Couple breaths here, squeeze the bum, and then you can always come down to your knees first. Exhale, lower all the way down to the earth. Little wiggle of the hips from side to side. Untuck your toes. Press the tops of the feet into the floor, so much so you feel your kneecaps lift away. Send your tailbone to the back wall. Feel your belly button engage toward your spine. Wrap your shoulders onto your back. Inhale, lift the heart forward and up. And pause here. Baby cobra. You might reach the arms back along beside you. Palms could face up or down. Some of you might reach your legs so far back that they de-weight as well. Hug the legs toward each other. Inhale, lift a little bit more. And exhale, release all the way down. Little wiggle of the hips from side to side. Deep belly breaths to release through the lower back. And then roll over onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest. Little rock from side to side. And bring your feet to the floor. And then cross your right ankle over top of the left thigh. You could stay here, or you might bring a block or something underneath the left foot. You might de-weight the legs. You can use just the muscles of your core if you wish to do this. Rock a little bit side to side. You may interlace your hands behind the left thigh. Whatever feels good for you here. As gentle or as deep as you need. Keep that hard flex on the right ankle. Last couple breaths. And then gently release back to the floor. Unwind your legs, shake them out a little bit, and then we'll switch sides. Left ankle crosses over top of the right thigh. You might stay on the earth or bring a block underneath that foot. You might de-weight the legs, either using your hands or not. Wherever you need to go, keep that nice hard flex of the left ankle, so toes back toward the shins. Last couple breaths here. And then release the bind on your legs. Unwind, shake it out a little bit. Last pose before rest will be a full happy baby. So take your knees wide, draw them toward your shoulders or armpits. This might be where you stay. Maybe you choose to send the legs or the feet up to the sky. You can grab the backs of the thighs somewhere along the ankles, the legs, the feet. You can rock a little bit from side to side. You might extend one leg or the other. Try to keep your tailbone directing to the top edge of the mat, though, so you have that natural curvature in the low back, rather than the tailbone reaching up to the skull. And then if there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, please feel free to take it. Posture, meditation, breath work. Otherwise, think about where you would like to go for your rest, whether it's flat on your back, legs bent, or straight in Shavasana. You could rest on your side in child's pose or a seated meditation. Wherever you land, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh. Your breath. 2 more. And continue breathing your natural breath. Let go of any breath control. Let go of any last muscle tension or gripping, particularly in your face or your jaw. Stay here longer if you can, 5 or 10 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.